Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back to another kind of breaking news video here. I couldn't believe this when I saw it, and so I'm still kind of processing everything that's going on. But Justin Trudeau is actually facing calls to get ejected by the Liberal Party as Liberal leader. And this is something that, much like a vote on confidence, is likely going to happen. Because the way that it's going about, and we're going to take a look at exactly how this is happening, it's all by the book, part of the procedure, and there isn't really anything that Justin Trudeau can do to stop it other than prorogation. But even so, it seems like this is out of the bounds of Parliament. It's a internal Liberal kind of shindig, and so yeah, we might see Trudeau get the boot because people are not happy. So we're going to be starting off with that content right away. Now, also what's very important to notice, and this is the unfortunate reality check of the situation, and please don't take it out on me. I don't want you to take it out on me. In fact, I want you to right now, if you haven't yet already, drop a like on this stream, on this video, and subscribe to the channel so you can get immediate information and updates like what I'm about to provide you. The NDP is having a bit of a revolt. Internally, NDP MPs have already posted and stated publicly that certain individuals are not going to be voting in favor of Jagmeet Singh's non-confidence, which means that the Conservatives are going to all be voting. The Bloc should all be voting. Jagmeet Singh, yeah, should be voting in favor of non-confidence. But other NDP MPs, no, not everybody's going to be voting. So is that going to be enough for an election? It should be, but is there going to be more people that revolt? It's also possible. So yeah, we're getting this news in real time, and it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster. And if anyone, I just want to put this out there, if anyone's feeling emotionally exhausted, welcome to the club, because I think a lot of people are feeling that way. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to, like I said before, hit the like button and subscribe. It does really help grow the channel, or in this case, help push out the live stream so more people can actually see in real time what it is that we are talking about. Now, I did post a link down below in the description and the pinned comment below for something that I haven't ever done. You're going to see in a moment here. We're going to do an ad read live, but here we go, folks. We have to talk about protecting ourselves, and the best way to protect ourselves is with my favorite sponsor, Private Internet Access. I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Private Internet Access. We've teamed up together and we're offering my audience 83% off for using code SUNSHINE, which can be found linked down below in the description or the pinned comment below. It's no surprise that we're living in a time of censorship, and Canada is unfortunately leading that race because of Justin Trudeau. Now, Justin Trudeau wants to make sure that you can't see the news. He wants to make sure that you can't see certain content on streaming platforms like Netflix, Hulu, Crave, and you shouldn't have Disney Plus because, of course, our finance minister said if you can't afford things, you should cancel Disney Plus. So the way around this is through a VPN such as Private Internet Access. Now, for those who don't know what a VPN is, it's a way to encrypt your data, basically putting a cloak over you so that you can freely browse the internet without feeling like your personal information is at risk or the government getting and selling your personal information. And the best way that I like to go about this, the best cloak that I like to put over myself is Private Internet Access, which again can be found linked down below in the description or the pinned comment below for 83% off. Thank you, Private Internet Access, for sponsoring this video. Alrighty, so here we go. Let's get into this video, shall we? We're going to start off with the polls. Now, this is something that is kind of taking me aback a little bit because, well, I've been monitoring the polls every single day. I mean, I posted in every single video, and what we're seeing right now is no change. There is no change in the polls, which is kind of unusual. So here we go. This is in real time, right? So we're taking a look here. We've got the 338 model is showing. Oh, I seem to have lost it here. Let's get back to it, shall we? You've got Pierre Poilievre sitting at 232 projected seats, the Bloc at 45, Trudeau at 39, and the NDP at 25. And this was updated today. December 29th. Now, I had to do a bit of a double take because I'm like, what? I feel like that's exactly where it was yesterday and the day prior, even though today there was an update. And so when I look at yesterday's polling, it's the exact same thing, 232, 39, and 25, right, in that order for the parties that actually matter. And so, yeah, there's literally no friggin' update at all in the polls, which tells me that I don't really know what that tells me, but I feel like maybe there's some trickery going on behind the scenes. Maybe it's a false update, or maybe everything is just literally plateaued. But if that's the case, it's looking still phenomenal for the Conservatives. It's looking a little bit more advantageous for the NDP compared to the Liberals. And what I'm about to show you, it's really not looking good for the Liberals. So, of course, people want to know, what do you mean Trudeau is going to get ejected from being the Liberal Party? Well, that's what we're going to take a look at right now. So let's get into it, shall we? Apparently, the Liberal Party constitution dictates that an interim leader is appointed by its board of directors and not its caucus members. Unelected Liberal board members get to decide who the future interim PM is. How is that democratic in any way? So just keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. If and when Justin Trudeau gets removed as party leader, there isn't a vote that happens between MPs. There isn't a snap Liberal election that happens for Canadians to vote in the other Liberal MP or leader of the Liberal caucus. It's the board of directors for the Liberal Party. So that's kind of sketchy and a massive red flag right off the hop. But now let's get into what the heck is going on. What do you mean he's going to get ejected from the Liberal Party? Well, a new letter, internal letter, has circulated. Nobody wants Justin Trudeau. Even his big shot Atlantic MPs want him gone. Folks, we are headed into a spring election. Liberals want to take the pragmatic approach. They know they can't win with Trudeau leading them. So this is by a East Coast who to be to buy to guy MP who has said, "Dear Liberal Prime Minister, the Atlantic Liberal Caucus met this morning following what has been a difficult week for the government and the Liberal Party. I have been instructed by my colleagues to write this letter to you as their chair and representative. The discussion this morning centered on the need for you to resign as the Liberal Party, as a leader of the Liberal Party, and to urgently allow for a process to determine a new leader to replace you." Now, remember moments ago, I just said that a new interim leader would be appointed by the board of directors for the Liberal Party. Well, who do you think is going to take that spot? If Trudeau's gone, my own personal opinion is going to be that it's Freeland who's going to be the runner-up. She was the deputy prime minister. She was the second in command. And even though she's created a lot of controversy in the past several weeks to Justin Trudeau and created a big headache for the Liberal Party, she's still, according to the party's standards, the next best fit, if not a better fit than Justin Trudeau to run. And so this is going to be incredible. We're going to possibly see a last minute change in leadership from Justin Trudeau to potentially Chrystia Freeland. Now, of course, it could be somebody else. That's all dependent on the board of directors. But it's kind of sketchy, don't you think? It's not even the MPs themselves that are voting in their new leader. It's going to be some unelected board of directors. But anyways, here's the facts, right? Prime Minister, your leadership throughout the past 9 years will absolutely leave a positive and consequential legacy on Canada. I'm sure they weren't laughing when they wrote that. Our colleagues this morning expressed their deep personal affection for you, their pride in our work as a Liberal team, but also their deep concern that without a leadership change, that progress will be lost under a Pierre Poilievre-led government. So they're panicking. That's exactly what's going on. They want to make sure that they have the best possible chance to go up against Pierre Poilievre. Chances are, 99% likely they are going to lose power, but they want to remain or maintain as many seats as possible. Now, if we head into an early election where it's Pierre versus Jagmeet versus Trudeau, that's going to be the order of who has the most seats federally. Pierre will have the most. It'll be a landslide victory. Jagmeet is about to quite literally leap over Justin Trudeau, and Trudeau is going to be at the rock bottom that he's ever been, which is phenomenal for us, but it's not great for them. So they want to make sure that they can at least maintain more seats than the NDP. And I don't know if there's really enough time for them to do this, but just like how the Conservatives are doing a Hail Mary, this is the Liberals doing their own little internal Hail Mary, which is awesome to kind of see because they're panicking, and that's great for us. I mean, assuming that you are also a Conservative and want to vote for Pierre. If you're not, you might have found yourself on the wrong side of the algorithm. But anyways, this country could face instability, notably from an economic threat to the potential of 25% U.S. tariffs on Canadian imports from the incoming American administration. And the opposition parties have signaled their desire to move a non-confidence motion at the earliest opportunity. Simply put, the time is of the essence, and our caucus is of the view that it is not tenable for you to remain as the leader, and we need to allow for the necessary conversations on transition to take place. Folks, again, this is an internal letter. You have so many Liberal MPs that are calling on Justin Trudeau to not just resign, but they want to literally force him out. And by the book, they can. So this is kind of great. It really was Justin Trudeau's last Christmas as prime minister or even party leader. In that regard, I have been instructed to write our national caucus chair calling for an urgent national caucus meeting in early January to discuss the next steps, including whether provision 44DI of the Liberal Party of Canada's Constitution should be invoked to allow caucus to be involved in appointing an interim leader. Prime Minister, we are indebted to you for your service to Canada and to our party. And it is that spirit of service that we are confident that you will accept our request and preserve your legacy. And then respectfully, Cody Blah, MP. And so there you go. You had so many Liberal MPs jump on board with that and write to Justin Trudeau. I mean, there's like 50 MPs this morning that all co-signed that letter asking for Trudeau not to resign, but saying, this is basically your final notice, right? To summarize that letter that we just wrote, they're not asking for Trudeau to resign. They're going to the board of directors of the Liberal Party and saying, there's enough of us that want him out. Look at the polls, look at the social status, look at the economy. Everything's saying Trudeau needs to go. And so the board of directors of the Liberal Party of Canada is very likely to take this seriously and then increasingly likely to remove Justin Trudeau as the party leader. Can they do that? 100%. Absolutely. There's nothing that Trudeau can do to block that. Even if he prorogues government, there's nothing that he can do to block what's about to happen. They don't need government to be functioning because it's an internal Liberal Party issue. It has nothing to do with the federal platform of Canadian politics. So this is the best part. Now, what does this mean in terms of prorogation? Can they prorogue? Yeah. Can Trudeau do it? Sure. And then can he be kicked out from Liberal Party leader and replaced with an interim leader like Chrystia Freeland? Yes, absolutely. That can all still happen. If that happens in that instance, scenario A, Trudeau prorogues government January 27th, February 3rd, the internal Liberal Party says, okay, Trudeau, you're no longer the leader of the Liberal Party. We're appointing Chrystia Freeland, Dominic LeBlanc, insert whoever you want as that interim leader of the Liberal Party. Well, prorogation has already happened. It's already begun. So basically until the end of the summer, until they resume back in fall, right? So like September is when they would pick things back up, or right before the summer break, right? So pretty much if that happens, if Trudeau prorogues or another interim Liberal Party leader prorogues, then we could see still a October 2025 election. That's scenario A. Scenario B, they remove Justin Trudeau as party leader. They replace with Chrystia Freeland, Dominic LeBlanc, whoever you want, right? Then Jagmeet Singh calls vote of non-confidence, or Pierre Poilievre calls a vote of non-confidence, and they get enough votes. Great. So you have a new interim leader. Then you've lost the election. Conservatives win a sweeping majority, and then they figure out their issues as a opposition party. That's scenario B. Scenario C, they kick him out. They don't kick him out. We go to an election. Does the NDP, remember Jagmeet Singh, right after they stopped going to parliament there, right before the Christmas break, right after that, Jagmeet Singh posted on X and he said, I commit to a vote of non-confidence. So they call a vote of non-confidence in 2-3 weeks from now. What does this look like under scenario C? No prorogation, no prorogi, okay? Prorogation, whatever the hell you want to call it. Who cares? It's a weird word. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. None of that happens. Maybe they remove Trudeau from party leader. Maybe they don't. Fill in the blanks. Vote of non-confidence happens. Will the NDP actually in totality commit to a vote of non-confidence to trigger an election? Well, that's what we're talking about in this next part of the video. Internally, the NDP is having their own revolt. Disgruntled NDP MP Charlie Angus, the guy who wanted to make it illegal to say oil and gas is good. That's a real thing. You can fact check me if you want. It's a real thing. He tried to pass that bill that it was illegal to say those things. He is saying, I am a proud new Democrat, but there are moments when we must put country first. Trump's inauguration poses serious threats. Canadians deserve a plan, not political bricksmanship. I will go back to Parliament to try my best. I will not vote with Pierre Poilievre as it risks advancing his toxic agenda. So here you go. Now you have NDP MPs that are getting cold feet, and they are saying, yeah, we're not going to be voting in favor of non-confidence. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a new curveball that I did not prepare for. I thought Jagmeet Singh had total control of his party. There's an internal caucus revolt happening in the NDP, and it appears that Justin Trudeau may now survive a confidence vote. Angus isn't running for re-election. He doesn't represent his constituents. He will make Canada poor. So that's a little scary right here. December 28th. December 28th. We're going to quote him in a minute here. Angus openly defined Jagmeet as a major blow to Singh's leadership. The test is on. Will Jagmeet Singh cradle or demand he fall in line and kick him out if he doesn't? Angus might as well just join the Liberals if he votes confidence for them against his own party. So within the past 24 hours, Charlie freaking Angus says that he will not vote in favor of non-confidence in Justin Trudeau's government, despite his party leader, Jagmeet Singh, saying that the party would do so when Parliament resumes. So here we go, folks. We're in the final race right now. We're in the final freaking race. We can see the finish line. It's right there. And you're having all of these last minute, like turbulent crises happening. Trudeau might not even be running in the next election. Speculation that he's going to resign. That's absolutely a possibility. Maybe a 3% probability, but it's still there. Maybe he tries to run and he fails. We all kind of want to see him get defeated in election. That's the closure that I want. I'm sure that's the closure that you want. Or we could see Justin Trudeau have every intention to run. and try to get reelected. But then internally, the Liberals, the chair, the Supreme Court of the Liberal Party, right? The Supreme Liberals themselves, the chair, the board of directors of the Liberal freaking party. They're not even MPs. They're just regular people that have been appointed as donors or whatever, the Liberal Party. They have the power to remove Justin Trudeau as the party leader. How likely is that? Who's to say? Trudeau brings a lot of money into the party, a lot of money, a lot more than what another MP can do because he is the Trudeau name. I don't like it at all, but he's making a lot of people rich on the inside. And so are they going to remove somebody like that and slash their paycheck in half? I don't know. But the Liberal Party's a dying brand under Justin Trudeau, and it'll continue to slow bleed with any of the Liberals right now running as interim or future Liberal Party leader. But these are the options, and I'm just expressing the facts as they're being tossed to us. And now we have noticed that the NDP MPs aren't even unanimously going to vote in favor of a non-confidence vote. This is insanity. This isn't right. This isn't how it's supposed to go. Jagmeet Singh has been blueballing 41 plus million Canadians, holding us hostage to a coalition government that nobody voted for. And now you're telling me that after his announcement that, hey, we're finally going to vote in favor of non-confidence, now you got rebel NDP MPs. Like, I feel like I can't handle this. I just want it now. I want to go back to a normal life. I don't want to be focusing on the next big policy and how it's going to screw us over. I don't want to be focusing on a 60-day tax break. I think we all want it to happen right now. And unfortunately, with all these curveballs, who's to say when it's really going to happen? But I want to pass the question off to you. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about Charlie Angus, disgruntled NDP MP, who isn't even running for re-election? This is his final FU to Canadians. How he's not going to support a vote of non-confidence, even though his leader said he would. How does that make you feel? Did you expect it? Are you surprised? Are you not surprised? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Here we have another scenario. If Trudeau resigns, it is the National Liberal Party Board of Directors who will be appointing the interim Prime Minister. Not the MPs and not the people. The unelected board of directors of a failing federal party. It's kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. But we're going to watch this video here. Whoops, I prematurely clicked on. We're going to watch this video here of how it's an urgent matter for everything to happen right now. Because unfortunately, we are 22 days away from 25% tax increase because of these tariff threats. So something's going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon. Let's take a look at this video, shall we?
Joining me now is Scott Reid, CTV News political commentator. Scott, good to have you with us. Now, the Liberals are dealing with a chunk of caucus members who want Trudeau to step aside. Should he continue, and why isn't he responding to any of these calls?
I guess our best supposition is that the Prime Minister has decided that he's just going to hit pause until the holiday is over. I don't think that sentiment is shared by his caucus. You have this latest member of Parliament, but frankly, over the holidays, my conversations with members of the government caucus have led me to believe that people have already moved on. They're working on the assumption that the Prime Minister will leave. They're reluctant to consider what happens if he chooses not to and what they may have to unfurl in order to get him to leave. But many of them are no longer having the conversation about whether the Prime Minister will leave. They're now moving on to, can a leadership race happen? How would it happen? Under what rules? Who will run? All of that kind of jockeying is happening as the Prime Minister basically just stands in the tall grass until we pass New Year's.
And really, this is all happening as we stare Trump 2.0 in the face in the White House. So what are the options for the Liberals as we, deal with this important issue?
Well, it's a really important question. Now, to be fair to the government, Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc, Foreign Affairs, Global Affairs Minister Melanie Joly, they were down yesterday, a couple days ago, I guess I should say, on the 27th, I suppose it was. They were down on Friday, meeting with their counterparts from President-elect Trump's team, trying to engage on border security issues, trying to engage on tariff issues. So work is ongoing. It's not like the government has gone into sleep mode. But the Prime Minister is silent. The Prime Minister doesn't appear to be focusing on these issues at present. And really, the questions that hang over him are about his own future. It is an urgent matter, though, because we have this external force, this external threat, and it very much is a threat of Trump and these punitive tariffs coming at us. And so the Prime Minister is going to have to clear the air and speak in public with respect to his own future as soon as that New Year's ball drops.
The Conservatives are bringing in a non-confidence vote at the end of January, which, according to what we've heard from the NDP and the Bloc, as well as the Conservatives, it doesn't look like the government will survive. Is there any other option?
Well, the Prime Minister's driven himself into a box canyon, so there are limited options. He can prorogue Parliament and avoid what appears to be a certain non-confidence vote. There are little parliamentary tricks and mechanisms you can employ to maybe delay that vote to the end of February, possibly into March at some point. But the probable course is that he will prorogue Parliament, which means effectively the Parliament doesn't sit, therefore there'll be no votes, therefore there's no threat of non-confidence. But even that option comes with big strings attached, because at some point the government has to engage in what they call the business of supply. That means financing and funding government. And for that, Parliament's going to have to sit. So February, March, at some point, even if the Prime Minister prorogues, that is going to be the end of the tape. And that is the problem that the government faces. Can it have a leadership? Can it put in place a new Prime Minister in time to deal with Trump and tariffs, in time to face supply, maybe somehow try to see if they can survive a confidence vote? If not, then to carry them into an election campaign as early as this spring. I'll tie it all up for you in a bow. We're going to have an election this spring, Renee. That is almost inevitable.
When you talk about prorogation, the Liberal Party's 2015 election campaign platform.
I agree, too, that we're going to have an election. I mean, we all know it's going to be happening this year, but I agree, too, that it's going to be in the spring, because I'm so conflicted on whether or not there will be prorogation. They've said there won't, and I would like to actually believe that, because I know that Trudeau is extremely narcissistic and thinks that he can win. So if he's able to somehow not get ejected from the Liberal Party as the leader and run in an election, he won't prorogue, and he'll just do it, which is our best shot of this Band-Aid being peeled off immediately and getting back to normal.
Platform. Did it not include a specific pledge not to abuse the use of prorogation for political gain after they criticized the former Conservative Prime Minister? Could this not be seen as a breach of trust and go against his own pledge?
That's what that's worth. You're not going to see too much hand-wringing over this. Look, the government, in order to give itself the room to maneuver, it may be forced into prorogation. If not, we will see the government fall in the House of Commons. And it's tied very directly to this question of leadership. If there's going to be a transition in leadership, if the Prime Minister is going to step down, which feels like it's almost inevitable, then proroguing at least gives the party some time to marshal itself, to organize itself. It's not clear, by the way, under the party's constitution that it even has the ability to conduct a race within the tiny window that will be left available to it. But somehow, some way, if you prorogue, you can at least give yourself the breathing room to pick a new prime minister, move forward, and then probably face a very quick campaign. That promise made 10 years ago, I think that is going to get left standing on the highway when one is facing the likelihood of the guillotine. Old promises tend to fall.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Scott, thank you very much.
It's going to be interesting, and I hope everybody is paying attention for the next little while, because what we're about to see is history being made. You could see Trudeau ejected. You could see an election. You could see prorogation, which obviously nobody wants that, other than maybe some liberals to figure out internally what the hell's going on and re-strategize. But something big is going to happen, and it's going to be happening very, very soon. We got one more video lined up. A lot of concern in Liberal caucus if Trudeau remains leader. That's going to tell you exactly where their head is at. Let's take a look.
And joining me now is our political analyst, Laurie Turnbull, to talk more about that, reflecting. There's probably a lot going on, Laurie. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Probably a lot of reflecting going on as we hear more and more MPs, Liberal MPs, turning on the Prime Minister.
For sure. I mean, this has been a long process where, every so often it seems there's somebody else who will put their name on it. At first, those in caucus who were pushing back on his leadership, it was kind of secretive. They weren't necessarily going up to the mic and saying it. But now, I think as it gets closer to the return of Parliament and as the runway to the next election gets shorter, perhaps the mindset is, if he's going to go, we've only got a finite amount of time to kind of put the pressure on him to do that. And so I think as they get into election readiness mode as well, right? Like as the party has to move toward making sure all their candidates are nominated, things like that. This last push to see whether there's any budging Trudeau for those who want him to go. We're seeing that happen now.
But what can they do? I mean, he must be hearing these voices. Is there anything else they can actually do to try and get him to go?
Well, this is it. I mean, it seems that there's quite a lot of concern in the caucus about whether he's going to go into the next election. Again, we've heard this a lot over the past number of months. There isn't the mechanism in the Liberal Party that there is in the Conservative Party. So they availed themselves of the Reform Act. And in that, using that mechanism, they ousted Erin O'Toole a few years ago and then had a leadership process that brought Pierre Poilievre in. But the Liberals didn't take advantage of that mechanism where the caucus can, with a 50% plus one vote, push the leader out and then replace with an interim leader. And so their options for actually kind of pushing him out the door are pretty limited. And so you see it happening kind of by 1,000 cuts instead, including the resignation from cabinet and the departure of Chrystia Freeland, which was a huge blow to Trudeau. In terms of what they can do, they can keep putting pressure on him. They can, to have these conversations in front of the media. They can have them in back rooms. I think, honestly, now that you can hear a bit more in terms of rumors of people putting together a leadership bid, or people are networking, people are putting some money together, that sort of thing, that might be the type of thing that puts a greater amount of pressure on him, because without there being somewhere else to go, it's hard, I think, for the party, and again, in the absence of this formal mechanism, it's hard to push one leader out when you're not sure who the next leader is going to be. It's hard to make that transfer. We might see more drastic measures, but you can imagine such things as the MPs kind of stop voting in favor of the government and in Parliament. But frankly, how would they do that when there are no votes on legislation going through Parliament now? Like, I think, honestly, because Parliament is in the state that it's in, because this motion of privilege has taken over in that space and we don't see regular business happening in Parliament, because the opposition parties are now saying, we're all ready to defeat this government, because there's a movement afoot to do that in the Public Accounts Committee. I think, honestly, the runway for the Liberal caucus members might be up anyway, apart from making these pushes as they are now.
And are there any indicators which way Trudeau might be going?
I don't know. I mean, it seems that he's taking the time to reflect over Christmas, that sort of thing. I think his options are basically, does he want to go into the next election with the party as leader of the party or not? And if he does, he's going to have to get to election quickly, given the fact that opposition parties are saying they're done with this. Or if he decides he wants to give the reins to somebody else, it would be probably by way of proroguing the Parliament so that the Liberals could have this process without being at risk of losing government in the House of Commons. And then once that happened, that an election would be shortly after that, I would think.
Okay. Laurie, thank you as always for your insight.
Thank you too. Take care.
I think that they know exactly who they would replace Justin Trudeau with. I think they'll do that with Chrystia Freeland or Dominic LeBlanc, and especially because it's not up to the MPs, it's up to the board of directors of the Liberal Party. Chrystia Freeland actually stands a very good chance of being the new interim leader of the Liberal Party, which is gonna be crazy. I mean, that's gonna destroy Trudeau. I don't think you'll ever see him publicly again if they replace him with Chrystia Freeland, especially after what she did to him, which was a phenomenal kudos to her for absolutely launching the party into like insane total chaos mode. But I think we're going to see something big happen, and it's going to be in the next couple of weeks, which again, as we approach the end of this video, I want to encourage you guys to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel and hit that little bell notification so you turn on post notifications so you can actually be notified of upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.